All right, here we are with another exciting hour of power about to start in 1 minute and 35 seconds. Get ready as we get into making robotic voices in Adobe Audition. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see David Silk is there already. Ready to go. 28 degrees Celsius at just after midnight in Adelaide. A little bit warmer than the chilly 7.5 degrees Celsius we got here on the Isle of Wight in the UK. Not complaining, it's nice to be fresh and ready to go. Let's warm up with these robot sounds. The show starts in just over 1 minute from now. Come and say hello in the chat right now.
Testing the left speaker, left. Testing the right speaker, right. Testing phaser. Full frequency sweep. Now. Stand by
for Music Radio Creative Live with Mike Russell.
MRC Live. Music Radio Creative Live.
With Mike Russell.
Starting in 30 seconds.
Okay, all the silly dancing over. Yes, I'm here. It's Mike Russell here from Music Radio Creative. Glad to be back on your internet streaming device. So in this show, we're getting into robotic sound effects. Well, more robotic voices, actually. It should be rather exciting. Hope you're going to stay here for the full hour, because it is 1 hour of power. 1 hour of power. Just like this one.
Your audio production hour starts now. MusicRadioCreative.com.
And remember, we've got a phone in line because I've been away for a few days, so it's time to warm you back up and get you back into the show. I would love to hear from you if you've just tuned in. We've got a phone number you can call, and it's this number.
415-800-1055.
Always really hard to do the hand symbols for the numbers. Anyway, at +1 if you're outside the United States.
MusicRadioCreative.com.
I would love to hear from you. One more jingle before we get started? One more? Yeah, I just set up my iJingle. I've got all the jingles back. Let's do it.
Monday to Friday live.
Oh, I love the little shadow on the green screen behind me there. That's rather spooky, isn't it? Halloween's over. Right, okay. So we're going to get into it and have some fun with robotic voice effects that you can do in Adobe Audition with ease.
This is Mike Russell from MusicRadioCreative.com.
Thank you to you if you're listening on the podcast, by the way, on demand. Always good to have you there. Let's just hop over into my screen share. Take care of a bit of housekeeping first of all. Welcome back. It's great to have you here. I've missed you. I've been up in London the last few days, had lots and lots of fun, met lots of old and new friends, including Ian Anderson Gray, who I see is in the Facebook live chats, saying, love this, so great to see you on Friday. Ian was, I met Ian on Friday in London. It's great to see you in. Had such a good time. Wonderful discussion with you about live streaming. If you've not seen Ian's fantastic website, Seriously Social, just Google it, or I think it's seriouslysocial.com. You should check it out, particularly if you're a fan of live streaming. So coming up the rest of the week, you will see over at youtube.com/musicradiocreative everything that I'm covering this coming week. Just got the shows scheduled in and ready to go for the rest of the week. So make sure to click set reminder on any of them that take your interest so you get those notifications. That'd be really wonderful. What else will we doing in London as well as catching up with new and old friends? Well, I did go into you can see it just there, the YouTube space. And we were filming in virtual reality. Look, hang on, let's make that bigger. There's Isabella, my other half and business partner here at MRC, and we are filming in stage 2 of the YouTube space in London, which is a fantastic facility, by the way. If you are a YouTuber or a live streamer and you've got over 10,000 subscribers, you can get access to a YouTube space near you. They're all over the world for free. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you look into that. If you are over 10K on your YouTube channel, it's such a great facility. They are so helpful there. As I always say on this show, I am an audio guy, and this is a show for audio guys and girls who would like to learn more about sounding great. So I know how to use the H6 that I had in my hand there, but and I had fun with an ambisonic microphone as well. But I had no idea how to light and backlight this wonderful background. There's a wonderful chap who was in the tech cage on Saturday when I was there, called William Simpson. Thank you to Billy Simpson from YouTube, who helped me to do all the things I didn't know how to do. So yes, it is true. There is a Music Radio Creative virtual reality podcast coming out soon. And if you'd like to hear more about that, stay tuned here and also join up to the community over at community.musicradiocreative.com so you can find out more about the world's first virtual reality podcast, or the world's first podcast in virtual reality, shall we say. And would you like a little preview of what it's going to look like, seeing as I got Premiere Pro fired up here? Just type yes in the chat right now if you'd like me to just show you a little sneak peek of what our VR podcast is going to look like, which, by the way, you'll be able to watch on things like the Samsung Gear VR, Oculus Rift. You'll be able to watch it on the HTC headsets, anything really that supports YouTube virtual reality app, which is most of them. You will be able to watch this podcast in virtual reality. It's quite weird. It's like Isabella and I sitting opposite each other. So kind of imagine you watching this in goggles, VR goggles. You will be looking left and right, and you'll see Isabella on one side, and you'll see me on the other side talking to you. Really is very, very bizarre indeed. So I think a few people there are saying yes. So let's just drag in one of these files, which we recorded on a YouTube virtual reality camera this Saturday. And as you'll see, when I drag it into Premiere, this is the YouTube studio, and you can see it kind of doesn't look right, does it, at the moment in Premiere? Hang on, let me just drag this over so you can see it in full. There it is. So there I am in the middle, setting up the H6, the Zoom H6, which is recording 4 channels, ambisonic audio. And there's Isabella cut in half on either side. So it doesn't look quite right at the moment, but there's a lovely button down here in Premiere. So if you ever record in VR, this is how to view your video in VR. You just click the button that looks like a circle with a VR headset in the middle. If you haven't got it, you can access it via the plus button and just drag it down into your button menu. When I click this, aha! Everything is right, and now I can actually use my mouse and drag around and see the YouTube space. Look, there's Isabella on one side. Let's just move along. Oh, here we go. There, you see, and there I am. Let's just play a little bit, tiny bit.
You know.
Right, that's true.
That's right.
You can choose, if you're inside the virtual reality goggles, who is more beautiful. We all know the answer to that one. Yes. No, turn that way. So that's all you're getting, by the way, because the rest has to be edited, and that is not the final audio we'll be using. That's the audio from the camera, as opposed to the really high quality audio that came from the ambisonic microphone. So we had a ton of fun doing that, and if you're interested in VR, I think it's it's definitely been taken off in 2017, but it's going to be huge in 2018 as places like Oculus and Samsung get VR headsets into the hands of the masses. I advise you consider doing some VR yourself, and you can be certain that you want to stay subscribed to my channel, because I am going to be focusing on virtual reality audio. There's going to be a lot of tutorials coming out in the near future about VR audio, ambisonic audio, spatial audio, binaural audio, any audio that goes 360 around your head or moves whenever you turn your head. That's the idea of ambisonic audio. You turn your head and the audio changes to match where you're facing. Really is very, very cool. It's the way things are going, and I'm excited to be covering the audio side of that. I might do a little bit, show you a few tricks in Premiere as well. But yes, it's quite surreal. And in Premiere as well, Adobe just this year released an update, which means you can actually put on compatible headset goggles and edit inside virtual reality. So I can edit this while sitting there inside VR. So really, really cool stuff. So talking about VR and all things robotic and crazy, let's close that now. And we'll go over to Adobe Audition. And I'm going to start recording my robot voice now. And then I'll show you some of the tricks and tips that I'm going to do. I'm also going to feature your chat, your conversation. So feel free to ask any questions at all while I'm doing this tutorial. On-topic questions, very welcome, but if you have something that's slightly off-topic, if I can explain it in 2 minutes very quickly during the live stream, I will do that for you as well. So wherever you're watching, if it's YouTube, if it's Facebook, if it's Twitch or somewhere else, post your question. I can see them wherever you post them, and then I'll do my best to get to them. Usually do it every 15 minutes in the show, so in about 5 minutes I'll be looking at the first batch of questions and feedback that you've been posting. So here we go. Oh, I am a robot. I am a robot. I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent. And we are going to run this show for you. So really quick, easy win ways to make that sound robotic. Let's just trim that. Actually, I think you can do, let's try this, Command T. Yeah, this is a really cool thing. Let's just undo that trim because this is something I've been toying with a little bit recently. So when you've recorded something into Audition, obviously we want to trim out those silences. Let's show you how to automate all of that. First of all, I just want this bit. I don't want the bit where I'm speaking at the front, and I don't want the click at the end when I stop recording. Highlight the bit you want to keep, and Command or Control on a PC, and T. Boom. There you go. Trim point's done. Everything is done. The other thing I was going to do is going to go into Window and Diagnostics here on this. See, that appears over here. And first, just so I've got a nice grasp on the audio, I'm going to normalize, which is in my favorites, and your favorites too. Normalize to minus 0.1 dB. Boom. Like that. And I want to cut out these awkward silences so we can have this robotic speech flowing, as it were. So we got the effects here in the diagnostics panel. Delete silence. We've got some nice presets here. Just keep the fun parts, speed up the lecture, trim long silent pauses. Might be a good one to start with. So we'll just go with a preset. We will scan. It'll find a couple of silences here. And let's delete those silences. It's deleted one there. Probably not quite what I was looking for. So let's change the settings on that. If the signal's below minus 74, hang on. Let's find out where we're going on this audio. I'm just going to use amplitude statistics to analyze this. Scan the selection. Okay, peak amplitude is here, minus 62. Let's just scan this section too. Minus 57. Minus 71. Okay, so we want to go a little bit higher. If it's below minus 65, let's say, for more than, more than 1 second. That's quite a large amount of time. So it's not going to cover that. It's not going to cut that, is it? We'll go for more than half a second, I think should cover it. This will be a nice preset to put in. Quick way of trimming silences. Obviously, this is not a long clip, but just imagine you have a podcast or a recording that lasts for like, I don't know, an hour or half an hour. Using this, find levels, boom, done. What I did there actually is choose the levels appropriate to the audio. So I've just reset my level there, which was 65. It's now minus 71. And let's do a quick scan. Okay, now it's found more silences. Let's see if this is appropriate. Ooh, that could be a bit too tight. So let's have a look here. Fix by shortening silence or deleting silence. Let's shorten the silence by a little bit more. Let's go for 300 milliseconds here. Delete all. Aha, that looks quite nice, doesn't it? So we've got 300 milliseconds. There you go. 300 milliseconds of silence in between each phrase, which should be nice and natural now. I am a robot. I am a robot. Yeah, let's go with, let's get rid of that. Or actually, no, we can do two different effects. Let's do two different effects. Over into the multitrack with this. We'll call this robot voice. Like so. And we are going to drag in from the Files menu, Robot Voice here. Notice hang on, Untitled 3. I'm not using my Adobe Audition presets at the moment because I wanted to create some new presets. So we'll start from scratch. First of all, we'll go with the effects rack and we'll go with adding some chorus here. And you can find some pretty cool robotic sounds. Let's just go to default if it's not already. I am a robot. And you can do a little bit more with this to make it a little more robotic. So let's go back to the start and we'll increase the modulation depth. I am a robot. Whoa, that's a bit loud. Delay time up, delay rate up. I am a robot. So you see, you start to get that wobbly kind of I am a robot sound. I am a robot. Turn the feedback up. I am a robot. And that gets rather loud. I am a robot. Check the spread up. I am a robot. So it spreads out nice and stereo there. Modulation rate. I am a robot. Very, very weird. And we can actually change it so that we've got more of the wet and less of the dry, which will give us more of the robotic sound. See, that's the complete, that's the wet sound. So essentially just the output from the effect and none of the dry. If I introduce the dry and take the wet off, I am a robot. You just get my voice, and introducing wet now to 100%, thereabouts. I am a robot. We can have fun with that. Change it, maybe the delay time. I am a robot. Delay time down. I am a robot. That's quite futuristic, isn't it? Feedback up. I am a robot. So you've got that kind of echoey feedback coming in, which is what that does. So yeah, sounding really good. And then if we want to enhance that a little bit more, we'll put on some reverb here. Let's go for, we could go for studio reverb, I guess, seeing as we're working in stereo. Surround reverb is actually really good if you're working in 5.1. That can be really good fun. Let's add the dry and a bit of wet. I am a robot. I am a robot. If you want to go a little more advanced, we can add a different plugin for reverb. I'll get to that in just a moment, but it is that time in the show where we're about 15 minutes in, so it'd be lovely to mention some of your comments that you've been getting in touch with. Do remember that phone line. There is a phone number that's always open when I'm live streaming. If I'm not live streaming, you just get the answer phone message and you can leave me a message. But I'd love to hear from you. If you've got a question or you just like to get on the show, here's the number to call.
415-800-1055.
Remember, that is a US number, so add +1 if you're outside the United States. Love to hear from you.
MusicRadioCreative.com.
And we're going to take a look at what you are saying in the live chat right now, wherever it is that you are watching. Right. Interesting question we got here. Let's just bring the questions up on screen and see if I can feature them. Robert Doman's there from Germany. Can anyone tell me a news URL that I can plug in on my radio station? I'm guessing by that you mean like news, kind of a news source or something, somewhere to download an hourly MP3 of news reports or something like that, like they do on internet stations. I'm not really a good source for that, Robert, but there may well be another internet radio station owner in the chat now who can tell you where to get your source from. There are places like Feature Story News and IRN, Independent Radio News, stuff like that. You might want to Google those organizations up and see if that can help. We got Radio Vlaanderen. I never get that right, sorry. National. It's the droid Frank saying hello from Slough. Nice to have you there. What else have we got? We have got Jason, who's watching from China today, which is really nice. And we got... what's this? MK Awan saying, hello, sir. Can you please explain how to make a voice intro like Armin van Buuren, A State of Trance podcast, please? Many of the effects that I've demonstrated on previous tutorials may help you with that. In fact, I'll show you a slight robotic effect in just a moment that sounds very similar to the American voice artist used on Armin's intro. Maybe that'll help you with a starting point. So, MK, I'll get onto that in just a minute. Good day to you in New York. Rich, lovely to hear from you. Thanks for the email over the weekend as well. Lovely to chat to you. I do hope you get your issue with Audition sorted out. Got David Lewis in the house as well. Mr. Mega Radio UK is in there. Really nice to see you. Lots of you are really excited about the VR virtual reality preview there. Can't wait to release that. Prince Vega is there from Botswana saying thanks for the tutorials. It is absolutely my pleasure. And Will's Animated Videos finally is saying, first time I caught the live stream, watch the vids, but always at work when you're live. Well, it's really, really nice to have you there. And David Lewis is saying he's currently using Rogue Amoeba Soundtrap. Would I be any better off using Loopback? What's the difference? I've never used Soundtrap, David. I know Rogue Amoeba's Loopback is a very niche thing for routing audio through a Mac, sort of recording what you hear and stuff like that. I use it. I think it's great. There's about 20 milliseconds of latency using that, but it works very well for me. Can you teach converting speech into anonymous-like sounding? That's a very good question. And Hassan there in Norway is saying hi as well. What's that there in your avatar? Are those slices of toast? How bizarre. Yeah, it is a shame Adobe Audition doesn't have a vocoder, but you can sort of vocode. I'll show you that in a minute. Hang on, I got to write these things down. You guys have got some great questions today. You always have great questions, but today in particular. So we're going to do the Armin voice that MK asked for. We are also going to do... Oh, nearly spilt my tea there. We're also going to do anonymous voice, because that's kind of robotic, isn't it? For Navin Shu. And we'll cover the vocoder, or the kind of optional vocoder that is kind of there as well, because there is kind of a vocoder that I can mention. Great to see you, Joe, by the way. Nice to have you back in and moderating here on the show today. And Animagic Productions is watching from Los Angeles. Okay, let's get into this. So you've already seen me playing with the chorus. And doing that kind of I am a robot. Another thing you can do, so this is going to be quite cool, and this will play nicely into what I was going to demonstrate anyway, is by using pitches, but different pitches at different levels. So I'm going to put a pitch shifter onto this channel here, and let's take it down by -2. And then over here, I'll put another pitch shifter here. In fact, I might layer it 3 times. So then we'll go down by -4 semitones. And we'll go over to track 4, and we'll insert another pitch shifter here. And we'll go down to -6. What is important to bear in mind here is that we're going to copy this by right-clicking on the top, Shift, copy. And the reason you hold down Shift is so that this does not move about in time. You want it to stay locked.
I am a robot.
Quite cool, isn't it?
I am a robot.
And if I take off the third one here.
I am a robot.
So
I am a robot.
Something like that. And if I actually route this out to a bus, let's create a bus very quickly by holding down Alt or Option and B to create a new stereo bus. And I'll call that Robot FX. And we're going to route these audio channels through the Robot FX bus, like so. Very nicely there. Okay, that works. And what I'm going to do here at this end is add some chorus flanger modulation.
I am a robot.
And we can choose aggressive flange.
I am a...
Bit too much.
I am a robot. I am a robot.
Let's find something suitable.
I am a robot.
So it's got to be very subtle.
I am a robot.
Maybe subtle flanger.
I am a robot.
Perfect, something like that.
I am a robot.
I might even pitch this up slightly so it's down by -4 semitones, sorry. Let's go to -2.
I am a robot. I am a robot.
Maybe -3.
I am a robot.
This is where it's going to get interesting. Instead of using semitones, let's use cents.
I am a robot. I am a robot.
So that is kind of the effect that is certainly used on the voiceover to A State of Trance. Hope that helps you, MK. Just basically pitch shifting, double tracking pitch shifting, and adding on a little bit of flanger and chorus as well to give that kind of stereo electronic robotic voice. Another thing you could do if you really wanted to is we could go in and we could hard pan left and hard pan, or almost hard pan, let's not fully hard pan right, and introduce the third track again.
I am a robot.
Really nice, really nice. And then I can go through and on the bass I can add more stuff, like a bit of reverb. Let's go for studio reverb again, as usual. Take this reverb down to about 2 seconds, which is just over 2,000 milliseconds.
I am a robot.
Quite cool. And this is the point where I'm going to start to introduce some stuff that I've got. You might remember a live stream I did quite a while ago now. I actually created some robotic sound effects and I had some really good fun doing it. I actually released them on the Music Radio Creative community. Here they are in a nice little zip file here. I'm just going to unzip them. Let's drag these all in and have a little play with these. These are all sound effects I created myself using a combination of Adobe Audition and Logic Pro. Let's see what we got here. Communication. Let's have a listen. That's nice, isn't it? Maybe use that one later. Another dimension. That's interesting. So we need to probably assign that as a sound effect so it doesn't get too in the way of the audio that we're hearing here. Sound effect, and let's have it make distant.
I am a robot.
So you could use effects like that, and another one like this, like swooper.
I am a robot.
I remember making that sound effect in the summer. That was originally the electronic car window opening on our car that I recorded on a Roland R-05. Kind of slowed it down and added some heavy reverb to it. And what a lovely sound of a robot moving around that is. So lots of other stuff we can potentially do. Let's have a go with a little bit of vocoding here. We might need to find an interesting sound effect to vocode, or let's call it modulating, because we're not really vocoding here. Let's see if we've got anything interesting to use. Take it down. Take it up. Processing. Motor robot. Glitchy madness. Dark scanner. Interesting stuff. What I think I really need here is possibly some kind of dark synth. I wonder if we can do that. Let's go into Logic and see if I can create some kind of dark synthesizer to use. Feel free to post in your wonderful questions, by the way, in the chat. I'll get back to them in 5 minutes from now. Let's just open up Logic and have a look. See what we can do here. Software instrument. Outputting on channels 1 and 2. And I want to go for something rather robotic. I wonder if we've got something like a human bass. Interesting. Perfect. That's the kind of sound I'm looking for. That was very lucky, wasn't it? So let's start a new audio file. Actually, first of all, set up my input channel mappings. And we're going to go for inputs from channels 9 and 10. New file. Whoops. Let's call this robot mix. And we'll just record some notes here. Oh. Okay. Stopping that now. So that came out of the MIDI keyboard I have here using Logic. Again, this would be a wonderful time. I'm just going to delete those notes I played rather quietly. Get rid of them. This is a wonderful way to use shortcuts again. Command-T. Boom. And then we'll go into diagnostics, and I'm going to do something fun with this. Delete silence, and I want to just keep the fun parts. No, just keep the fun parts. Thank you. And scan. Okay, that's not going to work. Let's say trim short digital dropouts. No. Scan. Find levels. Scan. Okay. Delete silence. That's what we want. Puts it all together. Okay, let's normalize that. Now, this could either work or fall over terribly, but at least I am going to say I have tried it. Let's take the I am a robot. I am a robot. I have come to take over. I am a... And what we do is we'll go in to the robot mix, and I would paste mix paste, it's called. Oh, not paste to new. Whoops. Oh, well, we've now got another copy of that. Let's go back to robot mix, edit, mix paste, and you want to modulate with 100%. Let's give it a whirl. I am a robot. I have come to take over. Well, that worked better than expected. Wow. Let's normalize and play again. I am a robot. I have come to take over. Now, little dropouts I'm hearing there, and the reason for that is because we've got silences in between the notes here that I played from this wonderful instrument inside Logic called human bass. Human bass. There you go. And I wish I could say it was planned. I had it all written down at 29 minutes into the show to pick the human bass instrument from Logic, but it was pure luck that I fell on that. That's actually a really good one. So write that down. If you want to do some modulating inside Audition, you might want to try some human bass. Human bass, what a name for an instrument. Right, let's delete all of those silences and try again. And obviously, I could play a little tune with that human bass, and I could actually get my robot singing, which I might do in a moment. Look at that. That's a thing of beauty, isn't it? Okay, cool. And now we'll go into mix paste again and make sure it's selected for modulate. You've got various different types. Insert will just insert your audio so it won't overwrite or anything. Overlap will mix the two pieces of audio together so you hear them at the same time. Overwrite will completely overwrite your original piece with a new piece. Modulate tries to combine them together, kind of like a vocoder. From the clipboard, that's cool. Go. Let's try again. Let's normalize that. I am a robot. I have come to take over. That's cool, isn't it? I really like that. Might fatten it up with some... my favorite new effect that is old if you're a Premiere Pro user, the dynamics effect. Let's add this fat compressor on. This is a really cool compressor, by the way. I am a robot. Just listen to how it works. I am a robot. I have come to take over. I am a robot. Let's take a look at the preview window, see what we're doing here. Let's turn the makeup gain up a bit more, and a bit more, and a bit more. I am a robot. I have come to take over. Well, I think that sounds really good. Human bass, modulate it with audio, and there you go. Now I'm tempted. I'm really tempted, seeing as I'm getting into this. Hang on. Has anyone got any notes I can play to hand? Whoops. Happy birthday. See, that's doing that. Maybe I'll do a happy birthday robot in a second. But before I do, let's hop back. And by the way, I'm going to introduce third-party plugins as well, show you some cool tricks with that, and just do a few more mixes in the multitrack during this session. It really is wonderful to have you here watching. Don't be shy. Ask a question in the live chat. Feel free to ask me a question. Anything you like, that's what I'm here for. That's why I turn up every day, Monday to Friday live with this Music Radio Creative live stream. Make sure to subscribe at youtube.com/musicradiocreative. That is where you can catch us. Live every day, every single day up until the Christmas break now, which is really great fun. Can't wait.
Audio production and more. This is Mike Russell on musicradiocreative.com.
The audio guru is here. He knows Adobe Audition in and out and is here to help you out. Mike Russell.
And remember the phone number if you ever want to call in.
415-800-1055.
That's the number. I really would love to hear from you. You can just ask me a question or leave a message.
musicradiocreative.com.
Let's see what you've been saying in the questions right now. And we've got Beanie Draws there saying maybe you could do some Darth Vader effects. Yeah, that would be a fun thing to do, wouldn't it? A really fun thing to do. I'd love to do the voice at the end of a car commercial. Interesting, says Joe. Greetings from Maryland, USA in Silver Spring there. Nice to see you. Thanks, Beanie. Glad you're enjoying the sound effects there. Navanushu is watching on 720p. Yes. Not quite high enough resolution, is it? Not quite. Sylvester, glad to see that you're enjoying the show. Sylvester Smith. David Hill is saying, just like my pitch shifting template, they're pitching away in Adobe Audition's multitrack. I do love a bit of pitch shift in the multitrack. And yes, David is suggesting I shrink the window. Yeah, whenever I use Essential Sound, don't use it that often. I should be shrinking my window, absolutely. DJ Infinity in Germany is saying, thanks for the tutorials. Really helps me. My pleasure. And what else have we got in here? If anyone can still help Robert with a URL for an hourly news bulletin to use on his radio station, please let him know in the chat. Actually, Robert, you might have more luck. Let me see if I can feature your question there. You might have more luck, Robert, by going over to community.musicradiocreative.com and asking your question there. Because, you're only going to get those watching the live stream now, hopefully helping you out. But whereas if you go to community.musicradiocreative.com, hundreds of people will see your question. And they're very friendly over there. And I'm sure somebody will know the answer and help you out with that. So for Robert or anyone else with a question on your mind, or just simply if you love audio and you want to help others, highly recommend it. Go to community.musicradiocreative.com. Thank you, Robot. And you can ask your question there. Right, let's go back in. Oh, actually, a few of you asking, let's get on to, because we did have another question, how to make the anonymous voice. I think the question there was related to, you often hear those videos, don't you, online with the, we are anonymous, that kind of thing. So I'll see what I can show you with that. And it might help you because this little jingle here, musicradiocreative.com, I made in a similar fashion using Generate Speech, which is only available inside Adobe Audition CC. That's, hey, I am a robot. And we want to go for, I think it is English United States. Where is it? Why am I missing English United States? What's going on here? Whoa. Okay. Have I not got English US on here? Seems... Oh, it's at the top. Of course it is. Right. You can go for gender male or female. But, I don't think I've got them installed. Might have to do it live for you now. Go into your system preferences. It is somewhere in here. Where is it? Sound? No, I don't think so. Extensions. Maybe accessibility. Let's see. Voice. Speech, which is in accessibility. I thought so. Speech. And so my system voice at the moment is Daniel. So whatever system voice you have available, and this will vary. So if you're on a Windows PC or something, it'll be different for you.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I am a British English voice.
So that's Daniel. That's who I have by default. Now, those of you in the UK will recognize Daniel as a well-known voiceover artist who's been on the TV. But I can customize here. And Daniel is my upgraded to enhanced quality there. But if I go in here and scroll down, you can see all these voices available to you. English, United States. But they have a category here. Certainly on Mac, which is a good reason to have a Mac. As you'll see above my head, they have English United States Novelty, and it's Zarvox here you want to use. So I need to tick that. Will be downloaded, it says here. And also, if I want to create the anonymous voice, I've got a feeling it's Alex. Oh, he's 2 gigabytes. My goodness. 2 gigabytes of audio. Might need to play you on the preview. Yeah, it's going to take about 11 minutes to download that on my connection at the moment. I might be able to play you a quick preview, though. Let's go in and preview Alex. Zarvox is also waiting to download. So if we go to Alex here and we play...
Most people recognize me by my voice.
So I think that's the kind of anonymous voice you're looking for. You could use Alex, And as he does correctly say,
Most people recognize me by my voice.
that's a good one for an anonymous voice. Similar to, yeah, I know what you're talking about, the anonymous association or organization on the internet use that certainly similar, maybe not exactly the same one for their videos and productions. Zarvox, I don't think I'm going to have this down in time to actually demo it, but essentially when Zarvox is downloaded on your Mac, inside the, you access that, by the way, by going to your system preferences and into speech, which is in the accessibility icon. And then once you've downloaded it, it will appear here inside Adobe Audition as well. You'll get a new gender called Novelty here. You'll be able to select Zarvox or Alex for your anonymous stuff. And listen to this.
That looks like a peaceful planet.
Nice.
That looks like a peaceful planet.
And you got other ones here as well.
We cannot communicate with these carbon units. We must rejoice in this morbid voice.
So I got to say, Apple have really got it sussed here when it comes to creating funny and deranged voices.
I need to go on a really long vacation.
And cellos. And these are all system voices that you can use in your productions inside Audition. Bubbles? That's just weird. And Bar?
Do not pull the wool over my eyes.
Oh my goodness. Bad news?
The light you see at the end of the tunnel is the headlamp of a fast approaching train.
Goodness me. That wasn't my idea. That's something on Apple's end. Oh dear. So very cool. Accessibility and system preferences on a Mac. Really good thing to have a play with. That's so funny. Daniel sounds a bit like Simon Cowell, says David. He does a little bit, actually, doesn't he? So you go and have some fun with that. There's so much you can do. I was going to play with this mix paste feature because I do think it's really cool. And let's try and start recording here. So again, we want something like this. Whoa. Try something like that. Hopefully that recorded that last little bit that I needed. So in order to get this bang on, I'm just going to do happy. Oh, obviously I need to record my microphone now. This will be easier to do in the multitrack, by the way. I'm just swapping around audio channel mappings here so I can get my microphone plumbed back in. You can do all of this independent of channels, so you can record different things inside multitrack much, much easier. So Untitled 6 and Untitled 7. Happy birthday to you. We did this on a previous episode, but not quite in this way, so I thought it would be good to have a play with this. And the way I'm going to get those to match is go into... Whoa, what did I do there? That was weird. I was increasing silences rather than the notes. So let's get this all to match up now. Go over here. Bring in my different Untitled recordings. Down here and down here. That's it. Perfect. And then I'm going to zoom in and have a little play. That's actually almost perfect, isn't it? Just need to cut those notes then so that they work with what I'm trying to achieve here. Pretty much nicely. Okay, and then I'm going to have a mix down of just my time selection there. Boom. Okay. Now I want to be modulating with that, don't I? So, robot voice mix down. Let's grab my singing there. Hopefully we can get something that matches nicely. So let's see where we are here. About there. Okay, about there to there. Let's see if this will work first time without any amendments. Mix paste, modulating that with the notes I recorded. Happy birthday to you. Not bad. Could be a bit better. Let's just try and move that along a little bit. And we'll mix paste it again. Happy birthday to you. Very weird. Anyway, you get the idea. That's kind of possible too with some modulation. So kind of vocoding and synthesizing is definitely possible in Audition. I know a lot of times, it appears it's not, but it actually is using that wonderful feature, and I really do enjoy that very much. Okay, we're getting very close to the end, and I still want to show you a little bit more mixing and matching inside the multi-track. So let's just spend a few more minutes taking a look at any more questions that have come in via the live chats here, there, and everywhere. It's lovely. Just leave a message wherever you are watching, and I will do my best to shout you out. Mahesh is watching and saying nice on Facebook Live. We've got Paulus Zevros as well saying hi over there on certainly on my personal Facebook page as well. Jean is saying seems easier just to highlight and delete. Yes, I think referring back to when I was using the diagnostics panel to delete silences probably is if it's a short clip. But if you're working with really long audio and you want to delete silences throughout that whole audio, it might be much better for you to just grab the diagnostics panel and, find the levels of your audio automatically, scan, and then delete. Hi to Steve Moore, who's also watching over there on Facebook Live. It's absolutely lovely to have you in. Let's see if I can feature a few more of your questions. Annie Magic Productions is asking, how do I record from Logic into Audition directly? Really good question. I do have a Soundcraft Signature 12 multi-track mixer that I can run in many different ways. So for instance, the way I'm doing it is I have Logic coming out of channels 9 and 10. That's one stereo fader on my mixing desk. And then I tell Adobe Audition to record my channels 9 and 10 by going into Adobe Audition CC, Preferences, Audio Channel Mapping. And I change it from Analog 3 here on my mixing desk to Analog 9 there and Analog 10 there. Analog 3 on both left and right is the mono mic channel that I usually record. So that's the way I do it using a mixing desk. You can do a similar thing with an audio interface, Animagic Productions. If you want to get something from Rogue Amoeba as well for the Mac, and you can route audio around using stuff like Loopback and things like that. Keep the questions coming. Really do enjoy answering them as much as I can. Team Trainwreck. Hey there, big fan of your work, long-time subscriber. Was curious about how you go about balancing BGM and voice acting in a mix meant for an animated series. Any help? Greatly appreciated. Not quite sure what you mean by the acronym BGM. Do you mean music, some kind of music, balancing that with voice acting? Anyway, that's definitely something I can cover in more detail in the future on this show, so I will do my very best to help you out. My missus said that last one sounded like Lee Marvin in Wandering Star. Nice. Is there anything similar to Synaptic Unveil? You've heard me mention that plugin a few times. David Lewis is asking. It's great, but expensive. Trying to clean up background noise when I record interviews on location with my Zoom. Isotope, actually, who I'm going to show off in a moment, one of my favorite plugins by them. Isotope make a great suite. I think that their latest one for what you're doing, dialogue editing and noise reduction, would be RX6. Isotope RX6. Let's throw it up on the screen here. RX6 Advanced is the flagship of the RX family of products. Ooh, yeah, this one's at $1,199, but I'm pretty sure that they, and as you can see, this is designed to work inside Adobe Audition, all of this, which is pretty cool. But I think they've got other products. If you don't want to get the full RX bundle, you can get just hopefully you can get just the one that you want. But they got stuff like de-rustle, de-wind, all of that kind of stuff, de-bleed. But you might want to use something like the, what is it here? De-reverb. This, I've never used it, but this I would assume and guess to be very similar to Synaptic Unveil, which again is used to clean up echo and room reverberation. So they do have a de-reverb plugin in RX6. Not used it myself, can't comment on the quality, but I know Isotope generally make really good stuff. So David, hopefully That will help, and that might be a really good suggestion for you. Nightbot is, of course, there reminding you to join the community. Please do, if you haven't done so already. mrc.fm/community is a quick link to join up. And yes, Team Train Wreck was absolutely right. As background music. So how do you balance background music with voice? It's something that actually I get asked quite often, voice and music mixing. And I'm pretty sure I do have at least a couple of videos. One I can certainly point you in the direction of. It's a 13.5 minute. Oh, there I am speaking now. It's a 13.5 minute tutorial called How to Mix a Voiceover with Music Without Ducking. It's here, right here. See it? There I am. There we go. Oh, there's me behind me. How weird. So I can post that one in the live chat. Maybe that might be a good starting point for you, Team Trainwreck, to answer your question about mixing background music with voiceover. Hopefully that's something that will definitely help you out. Any other questions? Keep on posting them. I would love to do my best to answer. Otherwise, if you don't get time to do that, then just simply go into community.musicradiocreative.com and ask any question in there, and we'll do our best to help you out. Now, as we're pushing ahead for time right now, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I'd love to squeeze in as much value as I possibly can. Let's take a look at the multitrack over here. I was playing around with various different ideas. And another thing you can do, let's take this audio I recorded earlier.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent, and we are going to run this show for you.
So there's my robot voice, and in the effects rack, I can go in. I've already got some pitch shifter on, but second in the chain, let's go to Audio Units Isotope Vocal Synth, and we'll just reset this vocal synth to complete 0, so to nothing, which it is at the moment. Then you can really go nuts. Let's just disable everything. I'm going to switch this all off and show you a little bit about how it works, particularly for those robotic effects. So at the moment, if I fade up the dry, first of all, let's not focus on the different kind of synth boxes we've got here. There is a vocoder in this, so if you're missing a vocoder from Audition, there's a vocoder in Isotope Vocal Synth which works with Audition. One of the best vocoders I've used, by the way. Distort, let's listen to how this will affect things.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent, and we are going to run this show for you.
Can you hear how that distortion is nicely? It's kind of almost like an exciter. It's distorting the high end, really.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently...
And that's warm, but we've got analog. Let's have a listen to how that sounds.
I have come to take over.
A little bit different. Edgy.
I have come to take...
So different types of distortion. Fuzz.
I have come to take over.
Oh, that one's huge. So let's go back to warm again. Filter again is something you can use. Turn up the wet on that.
I have come to take over.
And that kind of, the filter kind of almost dampens down the audio. Not really, we won't really be using that for a robot voice. Transform is another effect you can use. Turn the wet right up, turn the width up.
I have come to take over.
So as you can hear, that's doing something. Let's choose a different radio effect.
I have come to take over.
So some kind of EQing as well.
I have come to take over.
Creep, bright.
I have come to take over.
So you've got that. Shred is another interesting effect to use inside an Isotope Vocal Synth. So obviously that makes the voiceover unintelligible, but it could be a cool thing if you are generating a robot voice to use the shred effect. What it's essentially doing is at certain points it's kind of chopping the audio and remixing it, so you do get vocals that are unintelligible, but also could be rather handy. Let's just mix down that time selection for a second and have a listen to this. Pretty cool, isn't it, for a sound effect that you can just generate there. You could use that for, say if you have a robot character that you'd like to generate a voice for, but you don't want them speaking English. Just speak some English, use the shred effect, and there's something else. Delay, obviously, is going to add a kind of echo to the robot voice as well. Let's switch off shred for the moment. So that's quite fun. Noticing a lack of compression. So let's throw on my dynamics here. Compressor only.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent.
Hang on. We'll make sure we put it on the right channel here. Dynamics. Compressor only.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent, and we are going to run this show for you.
And then I can obviously take in some of these sound effects as well, which should work rather well. Something like that.
I have come to take over.
Let's turn that down.
I have come to take over.
What else can we use here? Scanning for life. Let's try that one. That might make a nice background noise down here. Let's turn that down a bit.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent, and we are going to run this show.
I'm also going to take in Glitchy Madness and pop that in as a sound effect. Actually, a sound effect in two places. Let's take that there.
And we are...
Cut it in the middle. And pop it there and there.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent, and we are going to run this show for you. To run this show for you.
And I quite like the idea of for you. That's my initial voice, by the way. And we are going to run this show for you. So you can really hear how a difference is made there. Just going to go in and do a slight pitch bend on this last bit. That might work quite well. Let's go to time and pitch bender. And we want to do turntable losing power here. Apply.
You.
That's just a nice little subtlety there that I can paste in. Bring that back.
Go for you. Go for you.
Turn that last little bit down.
Show for you.
There we go. Perfect. Okay, great. And obviously you can go a little bit further with that. That's isotope vocal synth used in quite a light way. But we can go and introduce something like CompuVox, which will totally computerize me. Sounds really good. If I take the CompuVox up to 100 and take the dry voice out of the picture, you'll hear what CompuVox can sound like. Hang on, let's turn these up a little bit. You can really go quite nuts with this. Pretty unintelligible though. Let's try TalkBox instead.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent, and we are going to run this show for you.
Let's just solo that for a second.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent, and we are going to run this show for you.
And then we'll go back to CompuVox and maybe mess that about a bit more.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent, and we are going to run.
That's pretty nutty. I don't like the CompuVox in that context. You could also introduce a vocoder if you wanted. Mix those together. Let's take the TalkBox out.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent, and we are going to run this show for you.
So it's almost like a singing robot. Might put that down at just under 50% and the TalkBox up at 100.
I have come to take over. I am now sufficiently intelligent, and we are going to run this show for you.
So you can really have really good fun. That's a final thing. So you got stuff like pitch shifting, chorus and flanging, of course, adding a bit of reverb to add that ethereal, spacey feel to it. You can mix paste. Remember to modulate when you do that. And of course, if you really want to take it up a level, you want to definitely take a look at Isotope Vocal Synth because it really is absolutely amazing. Highly, highly recommended. So let's have a look and see whether I can answer a couple more questions. How do you make the video like this with you in the scene? Benjamin's asking there over on Facebook Live. OBS Studio is the answer to that. And if you want to know more about OBS Studio, which I use to live stream and put myself inside the picture while I'm doing tutorials, definitely go over to YouTube, my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/musicradiocreative. And I've got a tutorial coming up this coming Wednesday, OBS Studio tutorial, best settings and guide. I know a lot of you have been asking for it over in the community. So finally, this Wednesday, I will get into the basics of live streaming using the free and open source software OBS Studio. So hopefully, Benjamin, you can set a reminder on that on my YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed, and then you can check it out this Wednesday. It's going to be a really good and exciting show. I think you and a few others will really like it. Calm Noise says, hello, I've tried Isotope Vocal Synth, watching over on Twitch, by the way, to make the robotic effect, but I didn't get a clean result. Is there any trick? Well, hopefully, what I've been demonstrating there has given you a few ideas to work with. Groove City FX says, Mike, you've used the L3 wave maximizer. Let me just take a look at this. What's the difference between that and a limiter? Can you use it once? That's in the Q&A. Let's see if I can feature that. That's something coming in from Anthony Hall right now. Unfortunately, it won't let me put it up on the screen. But the difference between L3 Ultra Maximizer and a limiter. Essentially, the L3 Ultra Maximizer is doing a lot of stuff to really crush down your audio. Part of it is limiting. So I would suggest only using L3 Ultra Maximizer in your chain. There's no need to use another limiter because that may well be a little bit too much. So, Anthony, thank you very much for asking that. Really appreciate you and everyone else tuning in today. Do remember, if you haven't done so already, go to youtube.com/musicradiocreative. Be sure to subscribe to my channel every single day, Monday to Friday. We do live shows just like this one right here at...
The audio guru is here. He knows Adobe Audition in and out and is here to help you out, Mike Russell.
Well, he sung it better than I could have told you. That's basically what this show is about. Do subscribe, hit the subscribe button right now, and I am back for a new show tomorrow. That's Tuesday's show, all about, yes, it's that time of year, creating Christmas sound effects. Thanks for joining me.